Greetings, family. This is Kyle Dixon, co-founder of Precise Minds Filmworks, educator for 20 plus years, cultural enthusiast.
And I'm Kayode Bentley, president and founder of 4T's Teaching Teens to Think, whose mission is to help inner city youth identify their inherent skill sets in order to complete their education, establish a career, and ultimately start a business if they choose to. Professor at Fordham University, where I teach students who are pursuing their master's degree in social justice.
And with that said, welcome to the Grand Rising Collective, a podcast whose purpose is to cultivate greatness and excellence within ourselves and our communities. The name itself is from the morning greeting of Grand Rising, which we interpret as starting off the day with a greatness mindset so that we are able to rise to the occasion of whatever obstacles and challenges we may face.
And that's why we focus on engagement, relevant information, and empowerment for people in our communities who want to be and do better in their daily lives.
Welcome to the Grand Rising Collective. Right. We know that in the tech space, a lot of black and brown folk have been marginalized within tech space, in society in general, American society, but definitely in the tech space. And there's some stats I came up on, says like, even though we're marginalized, we're like 23% of the cryptocurrency of owning and attaining cryptocurrency compared to our white counterparts, which is 11%, and even the Latino population, 17%. So we are very heavy in adopting this initial creation, as I say, initial presentation of NFTs, which is, for family, if you don't know, it's non-fungible tokens. Kenneth, could you talk about that, man? Because, when you entering the space and you tapping into another part of yourself, has that been an obstacle for you as far as creating your own entity of NFTs?
Yeah. So, obstacles, have there been obstacles? Yes. Are there resources? Is there support? Yes. It's not always easy to find. So, I started creating NFTs back in March of 2021. I started in 2020. I started learning and kind of but I started actually buying a little bit of cryptocurrency here or there. I understood a bit of, some of the terms, blockchain. I understood the concept of decentralization, the accountability, the transparency, which is kind of what is kind of the life of this space. I think that, if you were to kind of shake anyone who's kind of in the crypto space or NFT space, shake them for like the essential principles that for why they believe or are in this space. I think for many people, the transparency, immutability, so things can't be changed, accountability, those are really profound, even to an extent decentralization, where there's no one governing body that can kind of pull the plug on a particular type of cryptocurrency. But anyway, it was probably the second week of March. I saw a headline come across my, just whatever, Google or Yahoo or, news feed, maybe on my phone. A guy had sold an NFT for $69 million.
So the Christie's auction for digital artist Beeple, whose real name is Mike Winkleman, coming to a close a few moments ago. The final bid, David? $69 million.
Oh my gosh.
As of 6 months ago, Beeple had yet to sell any work, and most of America and the world are still trying to understand how NFTs fit into overall asset valuations. But
Carl, help me. Carl, help me understand this. Help me.
Sure
I'm relying on you and Morgan to explain this to me. I can say non-fungible. What is a non-fungible token? But that's about where my understanding ends. Yeah. All right, $69 million. Winkleman, way to go, Winkleman. Way to make it happen. People.
This is incredible, too. I mean, the NFT situation has just kind of exploded onto the scene, and the numbers behind it. I mean, just to see $69 million.
Now, up until that point, I had been seeing NFTs pop up on my screen, but ignoring it, right? Like we do that sometimes. We're like, I'll just dismiss that. Like even kind of late 2020, I was seeing this term NFT pop up, and it was leading up to the week of what that we call that the infamous Beeple sales. So there's an artist named Mike Winkelmann. He goes by the artist name Beeple. He had been creating digital art for many years. In fact, he was creating digital art every day for about 12 or 13 years.
Wow.
And the way the story goes, he ended up starting, there hasn't been a market, a place where digital artists can sell their work, right? If I'm walking through the streets of Harlem, or if I travel to Nairobi, Kenya, I can probably find tangible art. I could find a sculpture, I could find a painting, but digital art, what is that? Why would I want to own it? I could right click and save it. What does owning digital art mean? Right. And then why would someone want to own a picture that someone else could own? Right. And so when Bitcoin and the blockchain were created, there were developers and people much smarter, or not much smarter, but that were already in that space, that were seeing ways to make the transactions faster, but also do a bit more than just selling this programmable money called Bitcoin. So now you have these other blockchains and coins called like Ethereum pop up, and now you can, instead of just tokenizing or putting a piece of computer code on a coin or this programmable money, you could attach it to a picture. You can attach it to a song, an MP4 file, a video, through a piece of code called a smart contract. When that JPEG, that PNG file is merged with that smart contract is like the train that runs on the track of the blockchain. Once that file is connects to that smart contract, it is now what we call a non-fungible token. Non-fungible means it's not interchangeable. I cannot equally exchange it. It's not a term many of us use in our regular everyday lives, right? But fungible, if fungible is something that can be easily and equitably exchanged. So if I have a $5 bill and Kyle, you have 5 singles, we both can exchange our, I could give you my $5 bill, you can give me the 5 singles, and there's no loss of value. You still have $5, I still have $5. That's fungible, right? Non-fungible is switching houses, right? It's not an equal exchange, right? I'm trying to get Kyle's house, but I don't know if it's it's not an equitable equal exchange. Now, doesn't mean that you can't sell it, right? But we're thinking, something you could easily switch. So there are physical things that are non-fungible, but there are non-physical or intangible things that are also non-fungible, such as a copyright, a trademark, right? Will Apple equally trade their trademarks with Amazon? I don't know, right? There's no equal exchange. Another great example, sometimes that's often used, is the example of the Mona Lisa. The Mona Lisa exists in one place on Earth. It's in the Louvre Museum in Paris, right? But there are a whole bunch of posters you can see outside that museum and you can buy, right? If I buy one of those posters, that does not mean I own the Mona Lisa, right? There's only one. That one is non-fungible. You can't exchange it for anything, right? So now you have this technology, this thing called blockchain, and we're able to now take an image, merge it with this smart contract, basically this code that could do some really interesting things. Now, an artist, let's say a digital artist like Mike Winkelmann, who was approached by Christie's auction house. Christie's is like this old, some of us may know Christie's. If you don't know, they sell art. They're an auction house, jewelry, real estate, painting, Picasso's, Da Vinci's, Frida Kahlo's, right? Like museum type stuff, right? Basquiat's, they sell that. Christie's reached out to Beeple. Beeple had already amassed a bit of a following and was selling these NFTs. They reached out to him to get a piece to put on auction. And what Beeple ended up doing was putting together a collage of 5,000 everyday pieces of digital art that he had created. So a collection, 5,000. Visually, it's a dope kind of collage, but you can zoom in and look at each piece in high resolution. That piece was put on auction and someone bought it for $69 million. The reason we're most likely talking about NFTs today is not because of the NFTs that were sold before 2021, even though there were a lot that were. It was primarily, for many people, that sale. That sale got people, even like me, saying, wait, what? There's someone out there who will spend that kind of money on digital art. And already at this time, I was already creating. I was getting back into creating. And as I was learning a bit about kind of this NFT space, it started to make sense to me that this could be a really great way to distribute my work, right? So another way to think about NFTs is a distribution mechanism, okay? Yes, I can print my pieces and sell them on my own website as well, or I can sell the digital file, right? So I'm not paying for shipping, I'm not paying for printing, I could just sell it digitally. If I wanted to, I can sell you, someone could buy one of my digital pieces and they could also, that's part of the agreement. Maybe you get a copy of the physical if that's something I choose to arrange. But what NFTs do that really changed things up was this is computer code that's being attached to these digital files. Because it's computer code, you can create a program. And if this happens, then this happens. And then if this happens, then this happens. So with NFTs, there are built into the code royalties that you could build in on the secondary sale, right? So if I have some NFT, some art pieces, digital art, 2D digital art pieces that I've sold as NFTs. I have primary collectors. If my collectors sell the NFTs that they bought from me, built into the code is a royalty that comes back to me, the original creator. Every time my piece is sold, I get a royalty forever, right? So if Kayode, you create your own NFT, you sell it today for, let's say, $50 or $100, right? You'll get that up front, maybe minus a fee, depending on the platform. Some platforms might charge no fee, some might charge 2.5, 2.5%, some may charge a little bit more.
Right.
You'll get, a large chunk of that up front.
Okay.
But then you can also write into that smart contract code the royalties you'll get every time it's sold on the secondary market, meaning after that. So some platforms will allow you to set that royalty at 10%, and that's the cap. Some allow it's open. You can do a 15%, or 20% or higher. And every time it's resold, you get it back. So with Beeple, he sold a piece before that big $69 million sale. I believe he sold a piece for maybe around either $60,000 or $600,000. I mean, a lot of money. Like, people were talking about it. But that collector ended up selling that for $6 million. And Beeple got 10% royalty on that $6 million sale, something that artists have never had before. In the traditional art world, if you create a masterful piece of work, a painting, a sculpture, once that initial sale is the only money you see, right? You know, an auction house like Christie's or a gallery can come buy your piece for you and then sell it for 100 times more, right? And you don't see any of that. And now the artist is starting to see their own power and kind of take their own agency with NFTs here. So I got really excited even just about that and what that even means in terms of creating generational wealth, the hope that brings for uplifting community. And, you know, when all of that started to make sense for me, I just knew it was something I wanted to share with others, particularly my community, my Black and brown community. And so, Kyle, I apologize. I totally forgot the question you asked me. Once you said NFTs, that was the green light for me to go. And I started talking about it. So
you went in. This is all love right here, man.
Yeah,
you're giving us the breakdown of like what it is, because a lot of people hear that term and they don't know what it encompasses. They're like, what is it and how does it work and why are people talking about it? But $69 million, that'll wake you up real quick.
Yeah. And just you know, just to throw out a statistic, 2021, the range, you might get a hard number, but the range in terms of total NFT sales across platforms was somewhere around 25 billion with a B dollars.
25 billion.
In a matter, I know of creators who are no longer starving artists. This is not the case for everybody, right? But the hope that this is bringing and the lives that it's changing are very real. There are people who just even buying one NFT are getting offers of $250,000, $500 million, 50,000, 1,000, right? So like some life-changing resources that would not have otherwise been actualized or realized if it was not for this technology, which can be sometimes technology can be just a very overwhelming thing just to even talk and think about. And I completely understand. So when I was first learning about NFTs, I was doing the work on my own. I was reading the articles, I was watching the YouTube videos. Okay. And, you know, I scraped my knee a couple of times, you know, just trying to figure out this space. And then I was able to get onto some platforms like Clubhouse, and then eventually, you know, and then Twitter eventually, where there's a rich community of people that are sharing and giving, you know, information and resources to just get the message out there and build community. Yeah, I'll land my plane just on that there. So, you know, NFTs are out there. They are for everybody. My journey is different from others, but it's been life-changing for me.
If I have a digital art and I sell it on this, what's called smart contract, right? The smart contract. What happens to that file that I have, that digital file that I have? If I sell it on that smart contract, do I still have the original file, or am I providing the original file with that smart contract to the buyer?
That's a great question. So you would sell that, and we're saying digital, like when I say digital art, it can be 3D, it could be 2D, but it could be music, it could be a video, okay? As long as it can be digitized. You as the creator legally own the IP to that piece. Just want to say that. When you sell it, you are not transferring that intellectual property to the owner unless you state that in the in the description of the agreement. Okay, so when if I were to let's say take a screenshot of this the Zoom call right here that we have for this podcast, and let's say I want to turn this into an NFT, just want to be creative, right? That file still exists on my hard drive. I am uploading it onto a marketplace.
Okay.
That marketplace is taking that file itself, turning it into, there's when we, connect again, I'll talk about some of the terms, we'll talk about a gas fee. There's some fees that do work into this that can be a con, but it's part of kind of the space. Once that file is turned into an NFT and it's sold, that you will see that kind of that piece on the marketplace go from your kind of possession on the marketplace site to whoever owns it, right? So you don't keep it on the marketplace, but you may still have that file on your laptop, on your computer, on your iPad. You still have that original file, right? But now the NFT itself belongs to another individual. Okay. You are starting to see some people in the space get real creative and just flip some things up and give things like intellectual property or copyrights along with their NFTs so that people can create their own derivatives or own changes, right? Which has been, it has its pros and its cons, but it's definitely shaking it up and made some people a lot of money.
Some of the pros, which you already mentioned, Kenneth, was NFTs provide a record of authenticity and ownership held and verifiable on the blockchain. Another pro is they fashion a new market to create wealth and high growth potential, you mentioned. NFTs generate efficiency with smart contracts, which you mentioned, by streamlining processes and eliminating intermediaries. They empower a new marketplace for artists, which you mentioned, allowing them to sell directly to collectors and receive royalties whenever the art is resold. You mentioned that. He came with the stuff. NFTs can potentially add diversification to your financial portfolio as the economy and companies prepare for what's next in the post-pandemic world. So a lot of the pros you've already mentioned. So here are the cons. NFTs are illiquid and speculative investments. Since it is a new asset and marketplace, there is not a lot of historical data to research. It is a very volatile investment. As with most art, digital or physical, the value of it is relative and based on what someone is willing to pay for it. That's the unique nature of an NFT, which can be viewed as both a pro or a con. Anything you want to say to that?
Completely agree.
Next con, they are not great for the environment. Over time, the effects of producing NFTs or all types of cryptocurrency can have a tremendous negative long-term effect on our environment. What do you think? What are your thoughts on that? I know that's broad.
Is there impact? Is there impact? Yes. I think there are a lot of people in the NFT space that may try to sidestep the environmental impact and deflect and say, well, the gas you pay to get to your job and the lights on to keep the building running, the dryers that are operating, throughout the day on a 24-hour cycle. Is there merit to, should we be concerned about the environment? Absolutely. Should we say that we need to eliminate NFTs and what they could potentially bring, or is there an opportunity to build and create a system or blockchain that is perhaps more environmentally friendly, or what are some ways we can navigate that? But I definitely agree with the points you made. Go ahead. Yeah.
And this is the final con. These are just, I'm sure there are more, but these are just some of the highlights. There is a potential for fraud. And I think, Kyle, this goes to the big question in regards to those of us in the community who don't know about NFTs, don't know about Bitcoin, cryptocurrency. This is their biggest concern, right? I'm working hard for my money. I don't like the stock market anyway. There's no guarantees.
Right.
It's this new thing. I don't have, $20, and we talked about this in our other conversations before, to risk it like this. So going back to the con, there is a potential for fraud and scammers within the space. Despite the blockchain, NFTs are currently able to be hacked and stolen, which adds another big risk to consider. Your thoughts on that, Ken?
Yeah. So there's scams out there. There are, right? That is an unfortunate. It's a reality, and it's an unfortunate reality. There are, yes, there are, and it is. Marketplaces are trying to and getting better at addressing some of that. A lot of what might be considered a hack is really just social engineering. It's building up a lot of hype so that you click on that link. And once you click on that link, there's so many different things can happen, right? One, a hacker can either maybe gain access, or there could be some malware installed. So there are definitely conversations around security and safety happening in that space. I do want to acknowledge that and let anyone who's even just listening, perhaps for this particular point, are we saying, is the issue of safety not being addressed? It is definitely being addressed. And I'll share my situation where I dropped some funds on a project that I thought was legitimate, but there was a slight momentary lapse where we call it FOMO, fear of missing out.
You're missing out. Yeah.
This is the social engineering that happens, right? This is that, and I'll just make a quick analogy, right? Let's say, so there might be some sneakerheads here who might resonate with this. Let's say there's a limited edition of a particular shoe, Yeezy or something like that, that's being released at a particular location tomorrow at 12 p.m. If the first 100 get the only 100 pairs, right?
Right.
There's going to be a long line right outside that spot.
Yes.
Right? Already, some people have taken action because there's an incentive. There is an excitement. There's hype. That's not hacking. That's social engineering. That right there is what happens quite a bit in the space. And then what might happen is, all right, so you get these pairs, right? You pay, you do the transaction, you go. Maybe by the time you get home, you realize, wait, these are fakes, right? Or this was not legit. Or or Kanye goes on socials and say, attention everyone, there was no exclusive drop that's happening, right? So how do we do the research? How do we dot our I's and cross our T's so that we keep ourselves, so that we are monitoring how we react? Oftentimes most of the nefarious activity is not because someone has figured out a secretive way to tap into your phone, tap into your desktop. It's often us as users of technology that are clicking on links. And even if you're not in NFT space, please be careful just clicking on any links from any accounts or things that you do not know, right? Whether you work at a particular job or you get a piece of spam sent to your email, if you don't recognize it, do not click that link. Often scammers and hackers are able to send malware that can have a number of different effects. They can install key loggers on some of these devices. So as soon as you click on it, a file downloads in the back end that's able to log every key that you type. And then with that also means that they are able to see the passwords that you're typing, right? Whether it's to bank accounts or to digital wallets and things of that nature. So there is, it is definitely a learning curve kind of stepping into this space. And one of the most important things, I talk about is protecting your money, right? Protecting your energy, protecting what you put out there. And there are a number of different resources and strategies, and the great thing, if anyone is interested in terms of like just learning more about the space now, is there are a number of us out there that have had some bumps down the road, that are genuine about sharing that information. Before you don't even buy anything, right? Don't buy anything yet until you don't buy anything. You don't make any transactions until you feel that you're ready. And even if you feel like you're ready, there are different ways we can check and say, hey, whether it's verifying through Twitter, a marketplace, there's a number of different steps that can be taken to ensure the legitimacy of a particular project or piece of artwork. But yes, it's very speculative, right? That Beeple piece was not worth $69 million until someone bought it for $69 million, right? It's not worth anything until someone pays for it.
Pays for it. That's it. That's simple. That's simple economics right there.
That's it. I could put just because
exactly.
You can list it for $100 doesn't mean it's worth $100 until someone buys it. You can list it for $1 million. Doesn't mean it's worth that until someone pays for it. So yes, it is. Those are definitely great points, and I would love to talk more about all that the next time. It's definitely a new frontier for so many things are developing and changing, and you're seeing a lot of big players or big companies kind of stepping into the space. There are other terms like metaverse and blockchain we could talk about, but it is exciting in people's lives. Yeah, Web 3.0, yeah, Web 3. Yeah. And people's lives people are seeing new hope in this space as well. And there are a lot of opportunities, even in the periphery of, say, selling an NFT. For example, if you are creative, you can download 3D sculpting software for free called Blender. Right now, you can create 3D models. Some of these apps are free or accessible. Invest in a skill. Invest in an asset that you can build. Right. Where whether it's and that's Blender, that's free, and there are people who are able to create 3D art, sell it. Some of that is NFTs. Some of these are, for example, Unreal Engine. Unreal Engine was the program that was used to create the Mandalorian series, right? That wasn't filmed on a set. That was in a room. That was all computerized. And there are people who are using that technology to create worlds, to create stories, to create animations, to create music, whatever it might be. So, if you are tapping into this, this new world of technology is not just about NFT, but there are resources out there where you can start to actualize and see your potential, whether it's creatively, in terms of a business sense, as an entrepreneur, as an educator, whatever it might be. There's a lot that's out there.
Are there any suggested marketing spaces or apps that you can give to the audience so they can start their research process? From what I understand, I think it's what is it called? You mentioned it already.
You mentioned Blender. You said Blender. It
was Blender, but there was some. It starts with an E. Is it E?
Well, Ethereum is the
Ethereum.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Ethereum is a blockchain. That's not really a resource that I would say. But so if you are interested in just doing getting into space where you can do your own research, and that's something you'll hear a lot. And that sometimes might mean just asking questions. Twitter is, regardless of, and I did not have Twitter before last year. I mentioned this, I alluded to this before. The reason I have a Twitter account right now is because of this space and this work that I've been doing. But something like around 70% of all NFT sales are coming through Twitter. Wow. And Twitter is building, I signed an NDA on this because I did a focus group, so I can't say too much, but Twitter is definitely tapping into this. It is. It is. Wow. There's the communities there. So Twitter, Clubhouse, that's good. That's more of an audio an app. There's Discord, but I think in terms of really just delving into the research, tap into NFT Twitter. I can see if I can provide my information, even if it's just to follow me, not really to boost my following, but I may be able to connect you with other people in the space that are dropping knowledge, dropping dimes, projects, etc. That's great. If you are interested in just setting up a digital wallet, perhaps you've been learning about NFTs, MetaMask is free. Do not save your seed phrase on your computer, on your phone. Do not take a screenshot of it. You write it on paper. You do not, that seed phrase, I'm just gonna put that out there, that seed phrase needs to be written on paper and never stored digitally. Do not give that seed phrase over to anyone. We could talk about that during the next session.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Kyle, you wanted to, anything else you wanted to speak on this topic before we go to, no, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, one last thing. If anyone is interested in looking at NFTs, check out OpenSea.io. That's one marketplace. Rarible, Rarible, Zora Foundation. I mean, there are a number of them, but OpenSea is the largest one. You can just scroll through the different categories, see the art, see the music, the collectibles that are out there, just to get a sense of what's out there for anyone who's looking just to do a bit more of their own research and explore the space.
Awesome. Awesome. Very Cal.
No, indeed, brother. Like, no, you sharing the definite tools and outlets where we can do our own research. And a lot of the people who are successful in not only just this space, but other spaces, they do their research, family, and that's what we're giving you the tools to do your own. We're not saying totally believe us, because we may be slightly off, depending on what day, or whatever, we may have misquoted something. So always do your own research. So Ken, I want the people to know, where can they find your NFTs? You know what I'm saying?
That's
yeah. Where can they find
yeah. Oh man, I never even think about myself like that. But yeah. I have some pieces up on OpenSea. So I'm not able to share my screen, but on OpenSea, so my artist name is spen.doc, SPEN.doc, DOC. By the way, Kayode, Kyle Neptune, the coach at Fordham, the men's basketball coach, is the one that gave me that nickname back in high school. I ended up using that as my artist name. All so right. The next time I see Kyle, I'm waiting to blow up so I can flex on him, because I know he's getting paid out there. I can't go to him underpaid, right? But I am on OpenSea. I have my one of the projects I'm currently working on is called the Mask Collective. I am creating digitally hand painted masks. These are 2D kind of vibrant pieces.
Family,
Each mask is
hot. Family, it's hot. Yeah, the brother is on it. Like, the masks are unique, and I love the different themes he has for it. You know what I'm saying?
Appreciate it.
It's again, we're not saying it's Frida Kahlo or Picasso, but look, the brother's putting in work, and I definitely see the value in them. So
thank you.
One of mine very, very soon.
I appreciate you. I appreciate the love. Thank you. I am going to be creating, and that particular project will be capped at 1,619 masks. So I'll be creating 1619 masks. Each mask will just kind of tell a different story. That's one project. And then some people have tapped me to do some work on other projects as well. But you can check me out on OpenSea. I've also created my own smart contract. We can talk a little bit about that. I have a piece on Zora, some pieces on Rarible. I am on Instagram, spen.doc. Okay, spen.doc with the period in the middle. I'm also on Twitter as well. Spen.doc 4 NFT, the number 4 as well. But I thank you, Kyle, for allowing me to just share that.
Yeah. Like I said, he's not only talking to family, he's walking it as well and creating it. He's creating his own. He's like, and that's the beauty. You got to be in it to be able to reap the rewards. Like you said, like Kenneth said, when you get in something early, you're gonna get your little bumps and bruises, but you don't want to take a big, mishap. You don't want to take a misstep that you didn't really have to take and then get scammed for your money, because it's new. So that's one thing I know we didn't get into as far as cons, but like in this technology space, these avenues or these derivatives of this technology are so new that people are gonna take advantage of other people. That's just unfortunately the society and the world that we live in. But outside of that, it's legit. It's definitely legit. So thank you all, family, for hanging with us, for having this conversation, allowing Ken to share some of his insight and experience and skills in reference of being an educator, being a scholar, being a creative, right? Whether it be NFTs or just art in general. We appreciate his time, and definitely with our platform, like, share, subscribe to our platform. Like Grand Rise Collective Podcast, we're going to bring on more guests. We're going to probably have a part 2 with Ken in the near future. So again, don't be afraid to contact us. Hit us up on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. We have representation on all, even Twitter. You mentioned Twitter, so we got representation on Twitter. So again, going forth, we appreciate your time. We appreciate you. Ken, where can they reach you again?
On Twitter, I am spen.doc 4 NFT. And then on Instagram, I am spen, SPEN .doc, spen.doc.
On that note, we're gonna do the shout out on the 3, 2, 1. Kayode, my partner in crime, we here for you all. Thank you for this great episode. And we'll definitely be hitting y'all with some more stuff. So check us out. And on that note, 3, 2, 1.
Peace.